Fox News host Tucker Carlson is freaking out over gay and trans people who have decided to exercise their Second Amendment rights. Take a look.
But what you're watching here is not the exercise of the Second Amendment. What you're watching here is political hysteria, fear, ginned up on purpose with maximum dishonesty in order to get people in a state of agitation, armed people in a state of agitation. Doesn't matter if they're trans or not, whatever that is. It's the same template always. Scare the crap out of your voters, tell them that their lives are at risk, encourage them to get guns. How do you think that ends?
Funny how he says that, because that's exactly what he does. He would know. It's projection. But okay. Now, look, isn't the whole point of the Second Amendment, though, to defend yourself? I guess, or to defend yourself against government tyranny? Well, I mean, you could argue that with all the states that are passing restrictive bills against the transgender community, and doesn't that seem a bit tyrannical? To me, it does. And by the way, it's not just, banning them from sports or women's sports or banning gender-affirming care for children. No, they've actually expanded that to adults, restricting gender-affirming care for people under the age of 21. Now, 18, you're an adult. Some have even tried to ban it up to the age of 26. Sounds a bit tyrannical to me. That's big government coming in and into trans people's lives and saying, no, you can't be who you are. We control your life, not you. We control your life. We control your body. And by the way, it's the same thing that they're doing to women. Assigned female at birth. Saying, oh, you can't control your reproductive system. You're not allowed. Look, according to the ACLU, there have been roughly 275 anti-LGBTQ bills that were in state legislatures or have been passed in the United States, I believe in 2022. So you can argue pretty successfully that that's all part of an effort to try to erase transgender people from American society. So with that context, do I blame people for wanting to protect themselves against the levels of transgender hatred that have been directed their way? No, not at all. The amount of violence against the trans community has been on the rise for several years. A 2021 study published by the Williams Institute, UCLA School of Law, found that transgender people are more than 4 times more likely to experience violence and abuse compared to cisgender people. Around 1 in every 4 trans women were victims of violent crime, believed it to be due to gender identity. But where's this coming from anyway? Well, it turns out Tucker Carlson just found out that in response to all of these threats against their lives and who they are, based on who they are, that there are some transgender people who are saying, I have a Second Amendment too. I'm going to try to protect myself. So now he's responding to the segment that was a recent NPR interview with a group called Rainbow Reload. I want you to listen to some of that, and they're going to tell you, the people in this clip, I'm going to tell you why they're part of this group. Take a look.
If the world is dangerous, then you have to be dangerous back. And that very much has pushed me into where I am now.
One of the members, Sharon, recently transitioned.
And I went from concealed carry every once in a while when I was sort of feeling it to every single day, because reading the news, having a few experiences, realizing that I've gone from old cis male white upper middle class, really no real fears about anything, to there are people that just looking at me will want to hurt me.
There's that individual fear of what may happen simply existing in public. But for some, there's also a more organized and ominous threat, including a neo-Nazi group now active in New England that's targeted trans people. This is Jamie, who's carrying a new pistol she's hoping to break in today.
There's been an uptick in hate crimes. There's been an uptick in groups that have been protesting drag story times and drag shows, and it felt like I needed to learn how to protect myself.
There are local rod and gun clubs where she could shoot, but with her leftist political leanings and being a trans woman, she thinks she wouldn't be welcomed.
And having to hide your identity when you're shooting with a group of people isn't really a great time.
Do you consider yourself on the political left?
I mean, if you go far enough left, you get your guns back. And I want people to feel safe to be who they are. It's not a matter of politics. It's a matter of whether or not you think certain people should get to live and be their genuine selves.
Look, I don't like it, but I can't disagree with it. Do I believe in tighter gun laws? Yeah. Do I believe in keeping certain kinds of weapons out of the hands of people? Like, automatic, weapons? Of course. Do I believe in preventing people with, like, for example, dangerous mental illnesses or people with criminal records from getting access to dangerous weapons? Yeah, I do believe that. But I also do believe in the Second Amendment, which means being able to protect yourself. That's not a contradiction, and that's not very difficult to, square those different beliefs. So what we have here, though, is interesting. This is an interesting role reversal that is going on here, because Tucker Carlson normally he's like, guns for everybody. I love guns. Guns are great. Guns are fantastic. Arm yourselves. And yet, weirdly, he's going to go down the slippery slope.
You have to kind of wonder, like, what's the limit to this? So if trans people are in fear for their lives in every region in the country, including New England, which apparently is crawling with Nazis now, why wouldn't we be arming them as we are, say, Ukraine's trans army? And there are famously trans people in Ukraine's army. They're very, very proud of that. So why stop with AR-15s? I mean, why not F-35s or tanks?
That laugh, man. It's got it. He's a sociopath. He's a psychopath. He got to be. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some, there are people in his basement. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm not saying that's true. Just speculating. What a weirdo. Why not give them tanks? Why not have? Wait a minute. Why are you making a comparison to Ukraine when it's not the government that is saying we are going to arm trans people? We're going to turn them into a they-them army. What? What are you? What? Look, here's the thing. He also added, we're as for guns as you could possibly be, but this seems like an incitement. Who's inciting who? Tucker? Funny enough, I have actually seen a right-winger make an argument about, oh no, we should have bazookas and tanks and access to nuclear weapons. If we can afford one, sure, why not? Okay, that's a weird argument. But the whole thing, again, is pretty ridiculous. As I said before, the government is not doing a gun buying program for transgender people. The government's not involved at all. But he does make a good point in the fact that media is making trans people afraid for their lives. I agree with that. I do. Because it just so happens that it's the right-wing media that is making trans people fear for their lives. Let me give you an example of this. This is YouTuber Tim Pool. Right after the Club Q shooting. Club Q held a drag event. Drag Queen Story Hour. Okay. And this is what he said afterwards. The grooming of children is not stopping. People are calling for more violence. I don't think the legislators will stop the grooming. You tell me what happens next. Tim Pool, and there's so many more different tweets involved, okay, with this. And he's just one figure, but guess what? He has 1.4 million subscribers on YouTube. And he's been going on and on and on about how LGBTQ people are groomers. You have a gigantic Twitter accounts like Libs of TikTok, Haya Rychik, who has also, by the way, been on Tim Pool and has been on Tucker Carlson's show. Here's what, by the way, Pool said on his members-only stream that same day. Quote, "A bunch of goddamn pedophiles are grooming children, and when we're like, hey, stop associating all LGBT people with groomers, you keep effing doing it." You're accusing LGBTQ people of being groomers. What do you think is going to happen? People are going to make threats against that community. He also, back in July, had said that the LGBTQ community is now dominated by overt pedophiles. The previous month, he accused drag performers of grooming your kids. Gee, I wonder who is driving hatred towards the transgender community. Michael Knowles, another Daily Wire host, along with, of course, Matt Walsh, who has said numerous horrifying things about the transgender community, about the LGBTQ community, latched onto that smear. Knowles, during CPAC, said we have to erase transgenderism from the country, from society. Gee, I wonder why transgender people would feel threatened. I wonder. Huh. Again, this groomer smear has been repeated by right-wing media over and over and over again. Tucker Carlson had also equated Drag Queen Story Hour to sexualizing children. Drag is not inherently sexual. The point that I'm trying to make here is that trans people's lives are in danger because of media, right-wing media. By the way, the left, well, I shouldn't say the left. I should say what is considered to be in mainstream media, the left-wing media, like New York Times and CNN. New York Times has done massive amounts of anti-trans coverage. So you're going to tell me that New York Times is on the left? Hell no. Defenses of J.K. Rowling and her transphobia. Why do you think trans people's lives are in danger? Gee, I wonder why. And now, of course, when some of them, because, all these different threats, decide, I have the Second Amendment right, I guess I'm going to protect myself. Don't want to do violence, but I feel like, and look, that one person had said in the NPR clip, I've had my own personal experiences since I transitioned that have put my life in danger, that have made me think that I do need to protect myself. Doesn't take a genius to figure this out. But yet Carlson, when he finds out about it, he has the gall to say, whoa, what's going on? Why are you harming yourselves? Why are you getting your guns? That's weird. That seems like an incitement. Why? There's nothing to worry about. Why are you getting all freaked out? Gee, I wonder why. What this reminds me of, by the way, is when the Black Panthers armed themselves. You remember what happened after that? That led to Ronald Reagan doing gun control measures in California. Look, overall, I believe in the Second Amendment. Okay? I believe in, yes, I do believe in common sense gun reforms. Make people safer. I also believe in facts and statistics and science, which does show that you are more at danger accidentally shooting a family member or yourself when you have a gun in the home. Those are facts. But I also think that, hey, if you know the facts, you know the reality, and you choose to take that risk in your own home, we have the freedom to do that in this country. We do have the Second Amendment. The right wing, however, members of it at least, think, no. The Second Amendment only applies to me. We're the ones who should have the guns. Right wing, Christian, conservative, mostly men, but they do, I guess, they have been magnanimous enough to extend that right to right wing women. But that's it. Everyone else, now we're going to get real scared. We're going to fearmonger about them exercising their Second Amendment. Ironically, at a time when you have right-wing violence that is at all-time highs. Look, I believe in America, and that in this country, our laws and rights should apply equally to everyone. If you don't like that, and yet you're the ones that were pushing for more guns, while pushing to take people's rights away, well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you should have thought twice. Because it seems like you might get exactly what you wished for.